Well, hello, everybody.
Hi.
And welcome to the
Love You
podcast, where we are here to do what now?
Give you all the ease.
We are here to equip, to educate, and to empower the body of Christ so that we can do what now?
Live the abundant life.
The abundant life. Yes. Well, I am Erica.
And I'm Yala.
Yes.
How you doing?
Right. And thank you guys for joining us on today. How everybody and them doing? Yes, on this lovely, lovely day. How are you doing, Yala?
Listen, let me tell y'all something real quick and fast, okay?
Here it comes.
I want everybody, would you bow your head? But seriously, I feel good. Mm-hmm. It was definitely a road. Getting here to this moment was definitely a road. This particular week.
Yes.
But the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. But they are mighty through Christ Jesus for the tearing down of strongholds. Yes. And so we are fully equipped and fully prepared for every battle that comes. Because everything that has happened prior in our life, that's the only use for history. Everything that has happened, it equips us to walk into whatever comes our way. So I feel good. Yeah. I'm grateful. Yeah. I'm excited. I get to do life with my PP.
Yes, absolutely. So,
and we get to talk about the sugars.
Yes. And the foundation of what we do, right, is that we're here because a lot of people know about these conditions and all that, but just to remind everybody of our purpose and why we need to be.
Well, how are you doing? I mean, since we're talking about purpose, how your purpose today?
Oh, she wide open.
Are you spicy?
Oh, she's spicy. And she is here, and she is ready, and she is willing, and she's good. Yeah. She's good because I know who holds me. Amen. So, he's good. And so y'all gonna get this word today.
You literally are. And the way I want everybody to get your paper and your pencil.
Yes.
Go ahead and take a seat.
Yes.
And prepare to take notes.
Yes, to take notes. And why is that? So
let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of your background. Mm-hmm. You are type 2 diabetic.
Yes, I am.
And I think the really neat thing about her being a type 2 diabetic is that you look at her and you don't assume that she's a type 2 because there's a typical face to it, right? We think that it looks a particular way.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about type 2 diabetes. Tell us how you were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm. So I'll start out with me. So my testimony or my journey with it is that I had pre-diabetes for several years, and just living life and, just taking it for granted that I had time to kind of get my life together and get healthy at some point. And then I got to my heaviest weight, I think in 2015, 2016. And that's when I actually, was transitioned over into having officially going into type 2 diabetes. Okay. And so as far as like the official numbers, so just to give a little background, so everybody knows about a hemoglobin A1C, right? Mm-hmm. We all hear about the A1C. And so you're pre-diabetic if it's 5.7 to 6.4, right? Yes. I was 5.7, 5.9, I was rocking it for a little bit, I was tiptoeing 6.1, 6.2. Ooh, let me get it together and bring it back. Yeah. And I finally got to the point where it was 6.9 is the highest that mine was, right? Okay. And so that made it official. Wow. That made it official. And in that moment, because it hit you, even though I was, in the healthcare field and all those things, living life, you take stuff for granted.
People, but okay.
Well, we are. I know we can be quite difficult, but and just thinking that I had time, and the fact that it hit me that I actually officially am a type 2 diabetic, because it's very heavy in my family, like on kind of on both sides or whatever. Yeah. But and that's when I really, and it's terrible that it takes this for us, mm-hmm. But that's when I decided, okay, it's real. Let me get myself together. Right? Yeah. It's like I was pre-diabetic. I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant with my daughter. That was a warning sign.
Right.
Went back normal. and then came back, and was pre-diabetic. When I say years, I mean years, and tipped over. And, it did. And I said, you know what, this thing is real, because I knew enough about it that if I didn't get myself together, I know high risk and what could happen on down the road if I didn't get my life together.
And I know that you're going to get into exactly because one of my favorite illustrations that you do is when you describe what the
sugars
look like, in the book. Like that took me out that day. I was like, because I could feel it, like it was visceral, legitimately.
Yeah.
But getting your life together, what what did that entail for you?
So the two biggest things with it is I hired a personal trainer, because I knew that I was not accountable on my own. So I recognized that about myself, that I needed help, and people are like, you gonna pay for somebody? Yeah, because I know me, and I would fall off if I didn't have somebody else that I was accountable to. And the thing is, people, you're going to pay for it one way or another.
Legitimately.
Okay? So either investing in your health or investing in medications and all that kind of stuff. So you got to kind of shift the way we're thinking about it.
Or invest it in a reduced manner of living.
Right.
Like your your quality of life is reduced.
Yeah. And so getting with her and just working out, and just exercising, making intentional choices with how I was eating, because the stuff that I was consuming literally was killing me slowly. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and it just hit me, and I really hate that I let it get to that point.
Right.
But you know what? That's okay. For His
all
glory.
Things work together.
Listen. So we're here now, and I'm telling you mine, so y'all learn from my mistakes,
Right.
And here's a little caveat to this. People don't realize when you have diabetes on your medical record, right? Something I didn't realize either.
Oh, insurance.
You can't get, sometimes they will turn you down for life insurance policies.
Yes.
Or you can't get, of course, like premium rates. Even though my A1C is very well controlled, it doesn't matter because of what the cascade of what can happen to you with diabetes.
Right.
And so it makes things more complicated. So I tell a lot of my patients, listen, don't shift from pre-diabetes to type 2 diabetes, because it can change so many things for you.
That's good. It changes not just physically how you have to live, but it changes your pocketbook.
It does. Oh,
yeah, it
does.
Changes what your pocketbook looks like.
It does.
So it affects, like, I know we talk about, and when I say we, I mean in this country, like, we talk about the cost of diabetes, the cost of high blood pressure, the cost of obesity, the cost. You're gonna hit us with some numbers.
Listen, I was trying to find it. Yes. So in a 2017. Now, how many years ago was that? That's 6 years ago, right?
I was like, how many years ago was that?
Use my fingers. Yeah. So 6 years ago, the impact of diabetes on the United States, y'all, was $327 billion.
Billion.
Right? And so when I even bring the stats with those numbers,
billion.
Right, listen.
And we on the struggle bus about sending, money off places, which we won't get off.
Right, right.
Legitimately, that's what we're doing. Yeah. That's one dis-ease.
Right.
That's not all of them.
And that's profound.
One dis-ease.
And I
in
think
this country.
about what $327 billion, the things that if we were putting those funds, man, we could fix the world. Like
the homeless issue, like we could. That's just if we became more accountable for how we handle the body that we live in.
This present, this gift that we have, this temple that houses the Holy Spirit. Absolutely. Yeah. So
you said you hired a personal trainer, so that means you started moving.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that you started watching what you eat. So for me, that's part of the trifecta, right? Because
you can't get away from it. It's no way around it. It's no way around it. You got to do it.
Dis-ease in the body. The three things that you're going to have to do is start to move. You're going to have to eat better, and then you are going to. And I love how you're going to have to lose weight.
Oh, absolutely.
Those are for the primary diseases that we deal with in this country. Those are the three things that have to. And so you obviously you did all three.
I did. Right? I committed to it.
2016 you were at your heaviest.
Yeah. And of course, and the thing is, I don't always get it right. I'm not perfect with it, right? But I'm not the person today.
I met him. I mean, listen, we for real up in here. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, because I'm gonna tell you something, and y'all don't judge me, okay? So I used to get up. Oh yeah, right. Either way. So I used to get up in the middle of the night, y'all. I had a spot in my closet of red velvet Oreo cookies.
Really?
I would wake up out of my sleep.
To go
I'm like a zombie. And get up. And I'm going to the closet, and I had a little
like,
listen. They just be calling me. Listen. And I had a little space set up in my closet.
Yes.
And I would be half asleep and sit there and just eat, and I could eat a half a tray of cookies.
And I can't, like, I go, in my head, I go, that's crazy. But then, like, you know, in another episode, we'll discuss my obesity journey, because the way I used to hit the kitchen, and be like, 2 scoops. It was 2 scoops of straight up icing for me. That was my deal. 2 scoops of it was, And
then I would get, and this was another one too, I tell my patients, because I try to give people visuals.
Right.
And for one thing, I want them to see if I can do it, because I was horrible. So if I can do it, you can do it.
Right.
I would get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And I literally pour this much liquid creamer and put 15 packets of sugar in it.
15?
I kid you not. When I would go to McDonald's in the morning and order coffee,
kids,
and they were like, "Man, did you say 15?" I said 15 packets. I did. Right. So they were definitely judging me. You know what I'm saying? But now I drink my coffee. I know. But now I get coffee.
I'm like, friend. As I eat my
right, your 2 scoops friend. Right. And it was. I'm telling you, I probably was addicted to sugar. Like, I kid you not. Like, it was a thing.
Chemically, like, legitimately in the brain, like the way
it was
that
a thing.
When you eat sugar, it registers in the brain. Like it gives you that.
It's like
it's like a literal. It registers like you are doing an actual street drug.
It's crazy. I mean, it was controlling me. But you know, I got help.
Calling her in the middle of the night.
I got help, and you know, and it just and just the impact. And like I said,
once I went to Sugars Anonymous.
Not Sugars Anonymous. Right. I mean, and just like I said, just finally crossing that threshold.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I'm in the medical field, so I know enough to know what it's going to do.
Know enough to know better. Yeah. And you say that you know enough to know what it's going to do. So there are 2 things that I want to ask. Because I have an acquaintance who, because there are 2 types of diabetes. There's type 1 and there's type 2.
Oh, there's several, but yes, the main.
Okay. Well, the main ones that we discussed, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You have to hip us to the others.
Yeah.
But type 1, typically people are born with it.
Right.
But I met a lady who it was like late onset type 1 diabetes.
It's called LADA. Or 1.5.
So, 2 things. Tell us about late onset type 1. Tell us about type 1 in general and the differential between type 1 and type 2. Then tell us about late onset type 1.
Okay.
And then just bring it home with that visual of what you're, because listen, if it don't change your whole life, I don't know what will. Legitimately.
Yeah.
Like every time I even consider, and I'm very cautious, you know, I think about, and that's just my personal journey, to be attentive to how much sugar I have, you know. But then as I'm eating it, I just sit there going, ooh, my sugar, my blood. I got that visual in my head. All right, go.
Yeah. So like you're saying, type 1 is a condition in which with diabetes is where your body is no longer able to make insulin at all. And so usually it starts either young children, you know, young adults is when they find out that they have type 1 diabetes. So pancreas completely not working, not making insulin, so they've got to have insulin. You know, we all have to have insulin to live.
Right. But they have to have an external source.
Yes, they got to have an external source of it, And then, and so in your type 2 is where your body, you'll still make insulin, but for some reason your cells can't uptake the insulin. So when that glucose goes out when we're eating, because when we eat stuff, our body, you know, breaks down, you know, the sugar. And so the insulin helps the body to bring the sugar into the cells so we can use it, so that we can use it for energy. Right? And so type 2 people still make insulin. Either it's not enough, it's inefficient, or the body just can't uptake it. And so that's why some of those people,
like when we taltalked about kidneys, like they can be, but they're not functioning.
They're not fully functioning.
Completely cleaning the system out. So now you're in a situation where it can't fully.
And the thing about it too is that type 2 is like 90 to 95% of the makeup of diabetes cases. And a lot of things with type 2 is lifestyle.
Yep.
It's lifestyle, you know, and there are genetic, you know, predispositions to it, so we understand that. But a lot of it is lifestyle.
It's how how you handle your temple. Yeah. And just there are so many of you out there who are doing great things, right? And you want to be here to continue to do those great things. Or maybe you hadn't figured out like what your call or your purpose in life is just yet, but you gotta be here to do it. Yeah.
And in good shape.
Good shape.
Yeah. And so the LADA, or the late onset, is a different type of LADA, LADA. And it's also an autoimmune type, so it can hit you.
LADA, like
later. Right.
Later. Okay.
Hit you later on in life. And it's 1.5 or 1.5 because it's a mix. You know, some people who are diagnosed with it, their body has gone to a point to where they actually have to have insulin. Some people, when we do the test, they test positive for it, but their body is still making insulin, so we can treat them as a type 2 versus a type 1. Right. And so, so that's why it's a mix. Yeah, it's a mix.
All right. And then bring us home with bring us home with the shred.
You like the shred part,
Listen to me. That changed my whole life.
Yeah,
it did.
So y'all know I like props. So I got my little handy dandy.
Handy dandy files today,
I do. Yes, I do. Right. Okay. And so this is a picture of, you know, a red blood cell, and the little white pieces are blood sugars, right? Okay. That's glucose. That's your blood sugar. And so, you know, as your blood is flowing through, it's there, but it's not obstructing, right? So that's nice, and things can go and do what it's supposed to do, right? So yes, it's moving, and here it's going to move too. So this is one you got a lot of extra sugars, and it kind of slows things down a little bit, right?
It does.
So remember how we talked about in cardiovascular, where your heart pumps 5 to 6 liters of blood a minute, right? And of course, we got vessels all over, to your eyes, your kidneys, your heart is everywhere.
Which is why diabetics have, if they have eye issues.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so think about all this sugar, and so it's abrasive. We all know how hard and coarse sugar can be, right? And so it's abrasive, and so think about your heart pumping all that blood out all over your body, and so it's shredding, it's irritating, it's causing inflammation and all types of things.
Did you hear that? It's shredding.
Yeah, and I mean on a microvascular level, you know what I'm saying? But it is, but it's irritating.
Don't worry about that other word she just used. I just want you to stick with it's shredding. Yeah,
because it's irritating. It's abrasive, you know? And then, or another good, demonstration is like a milkshake. If you're drinking a milkshake and you know, sucking it through a straw, and your blood, that's how it's supposed to be trying to flow, right? And it can't flow freely. So when you have all this extra glucose and sugar on your cell, the blood can't get the nutrients that it's supposed to carry, the oxygen that it's supposed to carry to all parts of your body. Can't get to where it's supposed to be because it's obstructed, it's impeded because of all the extra sugars that we're consuming.
When you when you go to because I don't buy milkshakes like that anymore. Right. But when I did buy the milkshakes like that, and you would get the one and you be sitting there with the straw and then your jaw be in here and the straw collapse and then you can't get it to come through.
Yes. And that's what your body is having to fight through. Yes. And and all that sugar is sticking to your vessels on your walls. And so that's how, you know, you end up with the damage to your eyes and the damage to your kidneys and to your heart. And that's why you have neuropathy. Yeah, absolutely. You get diabetic neuropathy because blood flow can't get to the nerves like it's supposed to. And so, so you get all this cascade of things that are happening to you just because you like the sugars.
And then I think we think about, like, when we think about things that are catastrophic, right? We think about all these external things that are happening in life that are catastrophic. Yeah. Maybe somebody passed away or, you know, there was a car accident or, you know, some of the like hurricanes and different things. But we are causing that type of catastrophe internally. Like, think about it like that. We are causing that type of catastrophic behavior.
About self-harm.
Within ourselves on purpose. Because you like 2 tablespoons of icing and some red velvet Oreo cookies, which I've never had in life. I'm assuming they're good. Don't go buy them. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. But they tasted good. But here's the thing, though. But because I don't eat that way anymore, if I try to eat them now, I don't enjoy it. Right. It's like it's too sweet.
Right.
So, you can retrain. So if I can do it, I know anybody can do it because I did.
Your taste buds do. When you take, because people be like, I can't do that. I can't. Yes, you can.
Yes,
First
you can.
and foremost, the orientation of your mind determines your destiny.
Yeah.
That was part of devotion this morning. And I tell you, it's speaking life to me.
Yeah.
The orientation of your mind determines your destiny. So the first muscle you got to get in order is the one in betwixt your ears. Yeah. That's the very first one, because everything else in your body is going to follow that.
It's going to follow.
So that's number one.
Yeah. It is.
And then your taste buds really will reconfigure. Like they and what happens, like if you deprive yourself of, or you take sugar out for an extended, let's run it for about 14 days. And then if you were to taste like the same sort of, and I don't mean though the sugar, legitimately the sugar in fruit will become super sweet to you. And then this other the added sugars in the like pastries and whatnot, it'll be like, whoa.
Yeah, it's too
like
much.
You'll be able to tell that this is not what you need to be eating. For sure.
It is. I mean, and I one of my favorite sayings is that, I tell people, because people want, and here's the thing, even with treatment with with diabetes and all that, most things, if you don't the way you think, and I tell them all the time, I can now out medicate your diet and your physical activity. Like, you have got to be vested. Even with like bariatric surgery and stuff like that they do, for people, there's a whole process you have to go through, and even psychiatric eval, because they got to understand where your mindset is, because if it's in a better place, you have a better chance of being successful.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so I mean, you gotta shift that mindset. There's no way around it.
The biggest thing, and we'll touch on that in another episode, for me for weight loss was change your mind, change your life. Because they flow together. You got to change the relationship that you have with food and with exercise in order to change the constitution of your health and your wellness or your body. It's like anything else. Like, you have to change how you view your environment in order to do things as small as changing a job or changing your environment, like where you live or whatever. It's the same thing. Your mind is a powerful piece of equipment. It is such a power. Your mind gives out way before the body. Right. And I tell clients all the time, like, we couldn't have a military if that wasn't the case. Like, that's how you can have people go to war and then lose limbs and different things, but then they manage to make it back. Well, obviously it's the Holy Spirit, but they manage to make it back, like, and something is blown off, and they're like, and I brought my brother too, because the body would want to fail, but the mind does not. It is. The mind is, that's how people honestly are able, like, when they're fighting some of these cancers and different diseases, like, a lot of times some of the differential is just how brave and how courageous and how determined you are sometimes. In your mind, like, your mind is so extremely powerful. Which, if I'm looking at the wellness aspect of it, the trifecta is always lose weight, reduce your portion size. So, would you say that when you were losing weight? So one of the things that usually happens, one of the things that happened for me, so I'll just ask if it happened for you. So if I'm gonna go work out, I am not, and like I'm a counter. I don't like to count in class. I'm a counter of my of how many calories I burn. I'm a counter. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Always. I used to wear like a before the Apple Watch. They had the you would wear the little telemetry strap and then get your heart rate and it would tell you. Yeah. So if I'm gonna go exercise and I see the number of how many calories I burn, I am not about to go eat those calories. Yeah. And so tell me what sort of mind shifting happened.
Oh, let me tell you about this mind shift that happened. When you're on the elliptical and you feel like you're just running for your life and you burn like 20 calories. you know, what you feel like is that Snicker bar probably is not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I shouldn't eat it. Because if I have to work this hard and this as far as I've gotten with that,
exactly,
it changes. Like
it does.
It shifts you. It's like, yeah, that donut, nah, player. Are we good? Let me go get a cucumber stick because this is not working out for me. Yeah.
Hit it with a carrot.
So,
hit it with a carrot.
Yeah, hit it with a carrot because you're working hard and you thinking you're doing something and you look at that machine, those numbers, because the numbers don't lie.
And it's not calibrated usually, so you probably get actually less than whatever it is.
So it definitely helped to shift my mindset for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I always want to give you 5. Yeah. All right. The first is a trifecta: lose weight, reduce your portion size, eat better, exercise, cut back on sedentary behavior, get up and move. Yeah. Like you used to say, was it scroll and stroll? And
go for a stroll instead of scroll.
Yeah. Yes. And if you can figure out how to make it happen in your mind, stroll and scroll at the same time. Whatever. Just move.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You want to reduce your starchy carb intake. So non-starchy carbs like broccoli and mushrooms, and high fiber foods are your healthier options. Yeah. Drink water. And I know I probably had like 1,400 side eyes.
Yeah.
Drink water as your primary beverage instead of sugary beverages. This will reduce your blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
1 serving of sugar-sweetened drinks per day may increase the incidence of type 2 diabetes. It says by 18%, but I like to do, because, Piper More, you round up by 20%, guys. Like, that's kind of big. Yeah. Take soda out of your diet. Yeah. Like, that's legitimately, let me tell y'all. Because I've watched my husband do this for years, because he has battled this. Mm-hmm. But in the moments when he decides that he's not going to drink sodas, and being male, like you get all these extra things because testosterone, but whatever. Legit 10 pounds just from not having soda. Yeah, do you hear me? Yeah. So as a woman, that's probably like 2.5 for us to maybe 4.
Right. Yeah.
Avoid alcohol, sports drinks, sweet tea, and then again sodas.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that smoking is linked to type 2 diabetes. Mm-hmm. So if you are smoking, please work towards ceasing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Soluble fiber will help reduce your blood sugar. Mm-hmm. And then here's a neat one. What? Vitamin D. Yeah. Which the funny thing is if you're moving, then if you're outside working with your trainer,
you probably get a little vitamin D. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. You're definitely getting some vitamin D. Yeah. That also can be found in like fatty fish. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then for my people that don't like fish, hit it with a cod liver oil peel. Mm-hmm. I remember mornings taking those.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And 3 foods, just very quickly, that I want to talk about adding. And we'll have down in the comments what they do. Yeah. The first one is prickly pear cactus.
Yeah.
So she talked about how diabetes causes inflammation in the body.
Yeah.
So these 3 items help. The reason that they're good for diabetics is because they help reduce inflammation in the body. So I know prickly pear cactus sounds weird, but it's legit. Like, and I don't really see them much around anymore, but I remember growing up, people used to have them in their yard. It's the cactus that has the little pink bulb or flower on it. Yeah. That is prickly pear cactus. Yeah. And you can eat that as people boil it and you can eat it as a tea.
Oh.
Yeah, it can be a tea.
Okay.
It decreases blood sugar levels in people with type 2 diabetes. The edible parts are the leaves, the whole thing. Like when I was sitting there, I was like, so the whole thing, maybe say the roots, is edible. The next one is turmeric, and most people, because that's like one of those catch things. And it's a cool root.
It's in now.
It's in. Yeah. And it's actually a compound inside of turmeric called curcumin, which none of that for all intents and purposes doesn't matter. But it specifically is useful in helping with diabetic neuropathy. Mm-hmm. So when she was talking about the blood not being able to get to the nerves, so turmeric, and so real quick and fast, I have a client who, and I told her I was going to tell her I'm talking about her today. When we talk about attaching, when you're eating a carb, especially those that are starchy, you always want to attach a protein or a good fat, because it helps slow how the sugar enters the bloodstream.
And fiber, high fiber with it too. It can
yes.
Do it. Yeah.
And so, I'm like, you know how my brain works. I'm like, yes, that too. But anyway, but so being very specific. Because she was like, bet I'm gonna eat a donut and an almond.
Yeah. Wow. That's a combination.
Yes, it is. Yeah. But turmeric will help prevent complications from diabetic neuropathy, eye problems, cataract, dementia, and RA. Yeah. The deal with turmeric is, if you are on blood thinners, you want to have a discussion with your doctor.
Yeah, okay? Absolutely.
Because too much of it can it reduce,
it's like an anti-inflammatory.
It can thin. Yes, it can thin the blood further. It causes indigestion, nausea, diarrhea, kidney stones. Right. And then lastly is burdock root, which the very first time I ever saw burdock root was at the farmer's market.
Oh, okay.
And I was there with my brother's mom, and she's a diabetic. And so this guy came up and she had heard about it. So we were, and it's a neat looking, it looks like a stick.
Yeah.
Legitimately. Yeah. But it's rich in antioxidants, and it will help reduce the damage caused by not just diabetes as a chronic disease, but chronic diseases across the board. Yeah. And again, that can be taken as a tea. Right. But this particular one, if you are pregnant, lactating, or a child, you want to steer clear of burdock root. Right. Cool. Okay. So we'll have more information down in the comment box.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully, subscribe, like, and share.
Yes. Like, subscribe, share. I do that like I know what it's going to look like.
Right, yeah. Any of these little nuggets, make sure you share it with your family and your friends.
And
the more they know.
Yeah,
absolutely. Glad to have y'all. Y'all have a blessed one. All right.
Because I love you.
And I love you.
And we want you to love me.
Absolutely. All right, y'all take care. All right.